All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Nerds Who Drink. I'm Steve.
And I'm Mark.
And guys, this week, some big stuff's happened, I guess, in the past week or so. It's late February, on February 14th. We had the release of Captain America: A Brave New World. I'm sad to hear that it got not great reviews. I'm being completely honest.
So, for full disclosure, guys, Steve has seen it. I have not seen it yet. So, this will be a non-spoiler spoiler.
Yes. I'm going to give you guys the best description that I can possibly give you without spoiling any of the movie. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. This is my opinion. For some of you, I might even rank it high in comparison to what you think, and that's fine. But real quick, I know we skipped it, if you've noticed in our last couple episodes, having a drink. Mark and I are going to be back at it this week. Mark, what did you bring to the table? Because we had different drinks this week. We went a little different than what we usually do.
So, I'm giving Michelob Ultra Pure Gold a chance. It's apparently an organic light beer, and it's called a superior light beer. So, I'm kind of intrigued. I'm not a Mickey guy. Usually, if I
can be if it's at a party.
Yeah, like if I go light beer, I'm usually going like Corona or Bud Light. I'm not really a Mickey guy, so I'm kind of curious to see how this goes. What about yourself? What do you got over there?
This, if you guys have been listening to us or checking us out for a little while, you know that I was making mead. And this week I'll be on screen trying it. I've tried it before. Mark, you've had it at our Super Bowl party that we had everyone over. So everyone got a little taste of it.
Which one was that? Because I know you had two flavors.
So this is the one that I bottled. I didn't bottle the other one yet. I actually want to put like a fruit flavoring into that one. This is I call it cran apple or like harvest cider, I guess is the easiest way for me to put it because it's technically bordering between a mead and a cider.
Okay.
But I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to be pretty hard on myself with this one because obviously it's my first go around. So like I gave myself some grace, but also I didn't really have a ton of expectations, but I expected something, So without further this is a flip top. This should be fun. It's different than our crack. Cheers.
Cheers. Definitely a light beer. It's not bad. I mean, I could have a couple of these, but like you said, it's 85 calories. So, I mean, I guess that's healthy for you.
It's just healthy. So I'm going to be honest. This is a little bit more, I don't want to say flavorful because it's not like, oh my God, like the flavors are really coming out. It has more of a prominent flavor than it did 2.5 weeks ago. And I think it's just because it's been sitting. And again, like the longer it sits, the more it ferments, the more alcohol comes through. I think when I looked it up, it was bordering right around like 13% alcohol by volume, which isn't bad. Has the very clear, like off the bat, as an apple-y flavor to it. It's made with honey, so it's a honey wine. That's what mead is. But if you want to stick, like for those of you that don't know, with mead, sugar ferments. So if you're making wine, if you're making any kind of drinks like that, the sugar is a big part of the fermentation process. So instead of using water and honey, instead of water for this batch, I actually just used full sugar cranberry juice and full sugar apple juice, figuring that it should have enough sugar content to make it decent. And I was like, oh, then maybe it'll just add some flavor to it. Didn't work the way that I'd planned, but it's not bad.
Yeah, no, I remember when I tried it, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely got a kick to it. I mean, again,
I did try Jason Kelsey's Garage Beer, though, this weekend.
What do you think?
It's very, this isn't a knock on it, but it's a very bland beer. Like, the way that they advertise it is, like, it's a beer-flavored beer, like, and that's exactly what it is. It's a light beer. I
haven't had it yet. I haven't been bold enough to go out and grab a case. I want to support him because, I'm a huge fan of Jason Kelsey. Obviously, I'm an Eagles guy. Go Birds. And it's a big win for them with the Super Bowl. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it was one of those, do I need to try this? Probably not. And I think, like you said, I don't have high expectations. I'm not thinking wow, this is going to be my go-to beer from now on. I'm similar to you. I got a fridge full of Corona right now. Why? Because it's not, or Corona Light. It's not bland. It's not your Miller Lite or your Michelob Ultra or whatever. It's not crazy. It's kind of like middle ground, Been drinking in the summer. Obviously, we're drinking it in February. I'm happy. I don't need anything fancy or crazy or, some IPA with a million hops and, 19% alcohol by volume. Like, I don't need all that fancy shit. I will drink it. Trust me, I'm not against it. But yeah, if I'm just like sitting around, a couple Coronas, I'm cool with that. Throw me a
Yeah,
line.
I'd say garage beer is a good tailgate beer.
Okay.
So, like,
I
if you
can
need
see that.
something light to drink and not get plastered before you go into whatever the concert, sporting event, yada 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 that you're going to, garage beer is probably like right up your alley for what you're
Perfect.
looking to get out.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. So I guess now that we're past the intro, let's talk a little bit about Captain America. So before I get into my overview of it, what have you heard, and what are your expectations, I guess, going into seeing this movie?
So, I've heard that as far as Captain America goes, I heard it's more of a loose end tie up movie than it is a Captain America movie. I've heard they try to tie up the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. I've heard that they try to tie up the Eternals. I heard that they try to close loopholes with all these other things while still trying to tell a Captain America story. And the thing I've heard it like most closely related to would probably be like probably almost like Batman vs Superman. They just tried to do way too much in one movie rather than just focusing on like one or two. Usually Marvel is very good at blending like two or three story arcs into a movie and making them mesh well. I heard this one, they're just kind of like throwing stuff at the wall in between the main story. So they're setting up new characters, they're closing out old ones, and I heard that like there was a lot of reshoots. I've heard most people are giving it like I think when it first came out, Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a 46% or something. Like I've heard not many good things about it. Granted, me personally, never thought really outside of the Winter Soldier. Never thought any of the Captain America movies were like blow your socks off movies.
Sure.
Like, I don't count Civil War as a Captain America movie. That was just Avengers Jr.
Yeah, I agree.
So, The Winter Soldier, hands down, top three movies out so far for me. Arguably, for
Absolutely.
me, probably number two behind Infinity War. Because, yes, Infinity War was better than Endgame. I'm dying on that hill. You're not convincing me otherwise.
I'll tell you what, I agree with that, but we'll get that at another time. I will say this, and this is going to agree, don't agree, whatever. This movie was essentially Captain America and the Winter Soldier, but like the discount edition, right? And again, this is I want to try to stay spoiler free. I'm not going to give you names of people. Like, obviously, you know who Sam Wilson is. You know that there is going to be a Red Hulk,
Right.
right? So, like, I'm going to drop those characters, throughout this description, and I'm not really going to give you too much. All right, so my
Have
personal
heard
score,
rumor that there's a Red Hulk variant also in the movie, or at least teased.
I'm not going to confirm or deny anything. But what I will say is I'm going to give it a 6.5, and that might be generous. I'm the type of person where, like, we said it before, I like the Acolyte. I am more here for the entertainment value. It's very important at this point for the story to stick, and, like, obviously there is some tie into the MCU. Like you said, I think it very much is tying up a ton of loose ends, reintroducing a couple things. If you've seen any of the trailers, here's where I hit on the trailer stuff. We are forcing adamantium by closing up the Eternals loop. So the Eternal Island is what they call it, made of adamantium. Okay, all right. That's that's your way of introducing adamantium to the MCU. Fine. We had Deadpool Wolverine. That's technically an MCU movie. Wolverine has adamantium. Now boom, that's our pull into that. You're tying up Eternals, you're tying in Wolverine. Tying up Falcon and Winter Soldier, you get that a little bit. Very weird cameo by Sebastian Stan. Again, felt forced. I love Sebastian Stan. I love him as the Winter Soldier, or as I call him now that he's good, like the Summer Soldier. He's a good guy. I think he's a great actor. The dude's awesome, and they underutilized him. And I understand his star power against Anthony Mackie's star power, he may have overpowered him a little bit. and that's okay. So like I understand why he was in a more prominent role, but maybe whatever.
Well, that's where I'm wondering where Thunderbolts is going to tie in timeline wise, because I'm wondering if that's why they chose not to really feature him in this movie, is because maybe he's taking care of
Also,
whatever's going to happen in Thunderbolts.
I want to say no because if you when you watch the movie, when you see what his character is doing there, because he's not the Winter Soldier in this movie. Like, yes, he will always be the Winter Soldier, but like
He's a
that's not who he is. He's not his alter ego. He is Bucky Barnes.
he's a bartender.
He is James Buchanan Barnes. But yeah, so Harrison Ford, love Harrison Ford, huge Harrison Ford fan. I've loved him in pretty much every movie he's ever been in. He's great in TV series. Like, I mean, this man has a resume that's like a California phone book. The dude is awesome. Huge fan. Big thing with that, it was an interesting tie-in to the Edward Norton. Like how he becomes the Red Hulk is the Edward Norton Hulk, right? Not giving too much away with that, but you're getting that's where that loose end is tied up is with him. I like the concept of it. Ross becomes president, so he's very much in the public eye. So him dealing with the stress of the presidency and having to make these like, knee-jerk decisions and all of these things that are happening, that's what pushes him over the edge. That's what makes him into the Red Hulk. Cool. Got it. A lot of the other stuff was just very like politically pointed as to like what's going on and who's doing what in the world and like well, you did this and you did that and he said she said with other countries and now America's trying to essentially usurp Wakanda as the they got vibranium, we've got adamantium and it's better.
Now, did they bring back? I forget as well. What was the terrorist group from Falcon and Winter Soldier? Was it the Red Flag? No, Flag Stompers. No.
Yeah, no, they don't bring them in.
Okay.
They aren't even mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just they're just non-existent. He got the suit change, which is awesome. It's cool. What's up?
So I love the story behind that with Anthony Mackie in interview.
Oh yeah, dude, he just hated the other suit. Like it just wasn't comfortable. The cowl isn't it, which I respect. Very cool fight scenes, like well choreographed fight scenes. I liked that about. I think that's what like did it for me. It was like that a little bit of good CGI.
Now, does he have
Some funny.
nanotech now?
No.
In the one trailer, it looks like his helmet kind of comes on like Star Lord's does, or like Tony's.
So I think his flight suit helmet. So like when he's actively flying like to another place, so he does traverse long distances very quickly because he has. So his suit is Wakandan tech. He got it from the Black Panthers for like for helping them out. But yeah, like that was like a gift from Black Panther or Shuri. I guess she's technically a Black Panther now. But yeah, that was a gift from the Wakandans, and that's why it works like that, similar to Chadwick Boseman's suit.
Okay. That's what I was curious of, if it was nanotech or if it was something else.
But yeah, you'll see his wings are made of the vibranium. So like when he gets hit, they light up purple.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's able to use like the percussive burst stuff like that, and I like that. That's cool. But yeah, it's again solid movie as far as like if you watch this as like a standalone, it's decent. The tie-ins I feel like were a little sloppy. It was very forced. The jokes were pretty good. Like some of the Joaquin Torres, aka like the new Falcon.
I did like him in the scenes he had in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Dude,
I really do.
He grew into his role in this, and like I love it because he's still very much like that cocky, younger, army guy who, and at one point he, puts on the suit and Sam's like, yeah, those are upside down. And he's like, so again, he's still like he's very new into this. He's a little too gung ho for his own good, which has the tendency like Tony Stark in the beginning, got him in trouble. But all that aside, now to go to some of the stuff that like I don't, not trying to spoil things, you're gonna get your big bad for this movie. I felt like wasn't great. I'm gonna be honest. That's your another tie-in to the Edward Norton franchise. Didn't like it, and here is my parallel. I guess before I can get off my soapbox real quick. Captain America: Winter Soldier. Bucky Barnes controlled by mind control. Captain America has to fight someone controlled by mind control, who is his best friend, who is a super soldier. There's a mastermind who was, from another, concept that basically
Giancarlo's character.
no. Giancarlo Esposito works for that guy.
Okay. That's who I
But yeah,
think
so
it
like
is.
you might be, if you know the people from the Edward Norton movie, you probably know who it is. I don't know the actor's name. I'm gonna be honest with you,
It's the leader.
off the top of my head. I could look it up.
I
But
believe it's the leader, correct?
yeah, so you have a guy who is wildly intelligent that is controlling the mind of a super soldier that has to fight Captain America. Antics happen. Time is saved.
So is
He's
Red
no
Hulk
longer.
like even a villain in this, or like Red Hulk? Like, what is?
He's a villain in the regard that. All right, so you remember like when Bruce Banner first became Hulk,
Right.
no control, right? It was just like basically anger. Natasha was kind of the only person that could like talk him down, and then he became Smart Hulk or Professor Hulk or whatever that version of him was. And now he's intelligent and he can have full conversations. That's kind of where She-Hulk is. So like with no training, She-Hulk is just intelligent. Well, as
Like
intelligent
in
as she's going
control.
to be. Yeah, for her, yeah, she's in control. Like, and she's level-headed. This is like original Bruce Banner Hulk.
Now we're
So he's
dealing with
not
Hulk.
like
Is there any mention of her at all? Like even just like a mention?
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's just like a mention. I think
Well,
it
that's where I was curious because I'm like they're building in the trailers Red Hulk to be like the villain, but everything you're explaining has almost nothing to do with Red Hulk. So I'm like,
so
what was
I
the
wouldn't say
point?
he's not a villain. He's misunderstood, right? Just like Hulk. When Hulk first hulks out, like his intent isn't to be evil. He is angry and he's upset and he can't control his emotions. And that's kind of like what this gets to. And again, if you watch this movie and you just look at the parallels between this and Captain America and the Winter Soldier, I feel like they just reshot that movie.
So Samuel L. Jackson fakes his death. Got it.
Yeah, it's so bad. And that again, that detracted a lot of it from me because I'm like, dude, I feel like I just watched the same movie again, but it was like the the Kmart version of it, and yeah, it didn't do it for me. Like you said, Winter Soldier's hands down one of my favorite movies in the Marvel universe. Solid movie. This didn't hit the same mark, and that's why I gave it a 6.5. Cinematic quality, I think, is really what drove this. That, and I'm a big fan of like the actors that are in it and the banter. But yeah, I'm gonna get off my soapbox there. Mark, your turn, please.
So I finally got around to watching the first Top Gun.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, what?
So prior to this weekend, I will put this out there right now. I respect Tom Cruise as an actor. The fact that he has all these big box office, can't dispute that. I've never been a fan of him. Never been a fan of his movies, never been a fan of him. Just something about him just it doesn't click with me. Like I've only seen the first Mission Impossible, never seen anything after that. I love Jerry Maguire, but outside of that, I mean there's very minimal movies of his that I actually enjoy watching. Maybe Jack Reacher might be my favorite one of his.
I don't, I don't even like that, and here's why. And this is not anything against Tom Cruise.
I heard
Have you
it's a
seen the
terrible
Reacher series?
adaptation of the books.
Yeah, say, have you seen the movie or the TV series with Alan Richardson?
That I have not. I intend to, but I have not. I heard the TV show is like a perfect adaptation, and the movie
Absolutely.
is like a loose adaptation.
It's because Tom Cruise, and I'm not even trying to talk myself up. Tom Cruise is built like me.
Yeah, he's a little guy.
He is not a monster. Alan Richardson is a fucking monster, and that's what Reacher is. Jack Reacher is supposed to be a big, intimidating force, whereas Tom Cruise just played an intimidating force.
Right. So, but for me, I just honestly, I just like the story of the movie. Honestly, there's
Okay.
just the way that they kind of tie it. Like I enjoy like those kind of like thinker movies. The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you, dude.
Like that was me. But before I go down those rabbit holes, Tom Cruise never really hit the mark for me on a lot of his movies. But even Top Gun, I don't understand the hype. Now you're military, so I get it holds a different value to you.
Then
But
again, dude, I liked that movie before I was in the military, but I think it was also because since I was a child, wanted to be a pilot, and that I think is really what's different about it. Like, if you gave me the opportunity to even just ride in a fucking airplane like that, I'd do it in a heartbeat because it looks cool as shit.
yeah, like I don't know. Maybe it was like I don't know if it's I'm just numb to like the older kind of a movie because I'm so used to like these big grand CGI blockbusters now. To me, it was just a plain story about a guy who went to flight school. It's like, okay, cool. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I also know
Have you
all
seen the
the
new one?
bullet points of the movie too going into it. I know about Goose. I know about the volleyball game. I know about like this, and that. I'll probably end up watching the new one, Maverick, just because now I've seen the first one. But like, I respect the fact that Tom Cruise like learned how to fly those planes. I respect that like he actually does a lot of his own stunts. Like, dude's an incredible like worker. Like, I won't discredit him anywhere there. But for me, like, it was pretty boring up until like the last like 20 minutes when there's actually action.
Yeah. I feel like a bunch of movies are kind of falling into that nowadays. It's very much like, and I just had this talk with my buddy Adam the other day. The Fantastic Four reboot, not the new one that hasn't come out yet, but the
I
original
want to saw
reboot that came out like with Michael B. Jordan and Miles
Stallone
Teller.
and those guys.
Dude, that whole movie was just like build up, build up, build up, build up, 15-minute action scene, end of movie.
Man, it's like,
Why? Why did we waste our time doing this? Like, you could have done anything. I don't need I've said, Jesus Christ, I don't know how many times on this podcast I've said this. Stop fucking doing origin stories. I don't need the origins. If you don't know the origins, Google it. Give me good shit. Give me good action. Yes, when we started the MCU, it was very important to like give me a Captain America origin, give me an Iron Man origin, give me a Thor origin as the big three. After that, I don't need it.
yeah, nah. So for me, like, I felt like Top Gun could have easily been like half the movie is him going to the academy. Because first off, he gets in on some bullshit. The guy got PTSD, and the guy who was supposed to go, I forget what the pilot's name was. He was supposed to go, but then he gets PTSD during a training exercise or whatever. Or it's not even a training exercise. They're like off the coast of the Indian Ocean or whatever, and they have to scare off like the 3 fighter jets or whatever. I'm not knocking anything for anybody who listens to us. If you are a fighter pilot, like, power to you. Like, I could never do that bullshit. I could never go that fast in a plane. I'd probably pass out or throw up every single time. Like, I respect you guys for that. Like, no shit. That's no bullshit. I'm not discrediting PTSD. But in terms of the movie, it was just a bullshit storyline to get him to go. Like, you're already building up, like, his dad was this great pilot. He comes from obviously like military lineage. Like, just start with that and go from there. Like, why do you need this other guy to drop out? And I get you're building an underdog story.
Well, so I think, and again, very similarly to like I saw Top Gun Maverick. Again, entertainment quality, I liked it. But I think that, and again, it's been a hot minute since I've seen Top Gun, but like, was he not kind of a little like cocky because of that?
Well, he was cocky before that.
Correct, but I'm saying like that's like my dad's a fighter pilot. My dad's one of the best pilots in the world. I deserve this. And he didn't get it, but he ended up getting it because someone else couldn't get it. That's the only reason he ended up there.
So his thing wasn't my dad was a great pilot, so I should be. It was more he was always trying to live up to his dad's name
Sure.
as a pilot. So it wasn't necessarily an entitlement. It was more almost a jealousy kind of a thing.
Okay.
Because he always
Yeah,
said,
again,
like,
it's
I'm
been
always flying with the ghost of him.
yeah, it's been at least 8 years since I've seen that movie, so bear with me. But again, new movie, same kind of concept. You have the son of one of his friends who was the pilot. I'm not gonna spoil that for you.
It's Goose's son. I watched the Family Guy. Honestly, the Family Guy episode that just came out is what got me and Danielle to want to watch it. Because it's literally like how they do the Star Wars parodies. This one was
Yeah.
Top.
That's awesome. All right.
So literally, like, they kind of like parody Top Gun. And then when Goose dies, Peter goes on the motorcycle ride, but his lasts like 30 years. And that's how they wrap it into Maverick, is like he's been going for 30 years, so now he's the instructor. Because he's 30 years older and he's not who he used to be.
Yeah, that's effectively kind of what Top Gun Maverick is. They like need a special, they need somebody that's like specialized in this specific type of flight, and they're like, we got to call Maverick.
Which doesn't make sense then, because literally the last thing he says in Top Gun is like, I think I'm going to be an instructor. just start with, okay, now he's been an instructor for 40 years. Why do you have to call this guy?
Because he was off grid doing his own thing. He wanted nothing to do with that world. He gave it up, but they kept reeling him back in.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, and again, it's a cheesy, like, plot line, but again, it's very similar to Top Gun. Like, oh, hey, I don't want to do this, but I'll do it because you need me. My country needs me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I'm just a very, like, to the point kind of a person. Like, I don't need this whole, like, with these movies, it's like, this guy needs a reason to do this. It's like, no, maybe that's just his freaking job. Like,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
just go do your job. That's it.
Yep.
Like,
And yeah, no, I get that. I'm right there with you. I don't know. That's when you watch Top Gun Maverick, we'll come back and we'll talk. I do
that'll
want
probably
to
be within the next.
fucking hit that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess next episode we'll talk. I got a bunch of TV series that I've been watching that I really want to like dive into and kind of talk about. So we can definitely do TV. So if you guys are, have any opinions on Captain America: A Brave New World, if you've seen it, give us your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings, whether you agree, whether you disagree, hate it, you loved it. We want to hear it. So we're gonna wrap this up real quick, and then look out for our next episode where we talk about TV, because who doesn't love to sit down and binge watch a good TV series? Check us out on all of your social medias at Nerds Who Drink. We're on YouTube at Nerds Who Drink, on TikTok. Believe it or not, TikTok's still here. Good for you. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever you call it, at Nerds Who Drink, and soon to be on Twitch. Mark and I are going to start gaming and doing some reaction video games. So that will be fun. And yeah, without further ado, I'm Steve. And we'll catch you guys next time.